What's up, everybody? Alex here. Welcome back to another video. We're going to do our top 15 releases from 2023. Now, there are some caveats here, some disclaimers that I feel is important to get out there. I did not get or buy a ton of records that were released in 2023. For those who kind of know me and my musical tastes, I'm pretty old school. I love classic rock, hard rock, prog, jazz, that type of stuff. And so I find myself not buying a ton of new records, especially records that are released this year. Second thing I think is important is that there's a lot of great music I listened to this year that was released this year that I just don't have the physical copy of. Immediate record that comes to mind is the Winery Dogs 3. That vinyl shot up like crazy after an initial sort of tour release. And so I don't have that, as well as a number of other records that, especially in the prog world, that were released this year that I just don't have the physical copy of. And therefore, I only wanted to show things that I have a physical copy of. So I have a top 15. I know 10 is probably better, but I have a hard time ranking records, just to be honest with you. I kind of hate it. And so they're generally in the right direction, and my number one's my number one. But everything else, can squeeze in other places. So 15 records. I really like all of these, and I'll talk a little bit more about each one as we sort of go. It's early today, and there'll be lots of beer drinking later tonight. So it's coffee today. And all right, let's dive in. It was a good year, and we'll see what 2024 has. So coming in at number 15, this was a bit of a disappointment. I say that. I like the record. I think it's a good record. But the disappointment was twofold. A, it felt like a really big decline from their previous record. And B, I don't know what happened, but the vinyl just sounds awful. And it might be because of the one I have. I'll talk about it. But I am talking about the long-awaited, at least for me, Starcatcher from Greta Van Fleet. Now, I know, some of you all have some feelings about Greta Van Fleet and all this stuff. We can talk about that. Leave a comment about that if you'd like to. But, I think of just young bands that are sort of carrying the torch of rock and roll. I have no problem with these guys. And I thought their last record, what was that, Battle at Garden's Gate or something, was amazing. I love when they go darker, when they go a little bit more thematic and cinematic. And I was really looking forward to this. And again, it's a solid record. But it's a disappointment and a bit of a shortfall from what they had prior to. And the other thing too was, and I know a lot of people have been talking about this, me, because I'm a sucker, had to buy the glitter vinyl, right? Let's put glitter on our wax. I don't know if that's going to show up so well. You can there we go, kind of see it. It sounds awful. It's terrible. I found myself streaming this and enjoying it a lot more than I did listening to it. And so I don't know what happened. I've heard other people have gotten other variants that sound better. But to me, that was the two sort of decreases that are not really musically related, although that's got some reasons that it's not a little bit higher. But yeah, number 15, Starcatcher from Greta Van Fleet as my number 15. Let's completely change genre gears a little bit. This was something that a lot of people in the jazz world were talking about earlier in the year because it was the first record that we heard from this artist, and it was the first record that we heard from the label Coherent Records, and we're talking about Shapes and Sound from Kirsten Edkins. For those who are the audiophiles who pay attention to the Kevin Grays of the world will know about this record, but this was the first record that he had put out that was all analog, all tube, audiophile galore for this artist, saxophonist Kirsten Edkins. So just a beautiful contemporary jazz record that I got a lot of work in this year. And just a great record. And I think a lot of people are patiently waiting for her next move as well as Kevin's next move over at Coherent Records or Coherent Audio or whatever the label is called. So yeah, Shapes and Sound from Kirsten Edkins. Back on, we'll do back-to-back jazz, and then I think we're actually away from jazz a little bit. Next is going to be, this was a recent one. I've talked about Coal Mine Records a lot. If you don't know Coal Mine Records, jazz, soul, funk label out of Loveland, Ohio. They're actually a part of Plaid Room Records, which is a great online and in-person record store. But they have a label, and one of their signings is a jazz trio that goes by Okonsky. Steve Okonsky, who I believe piano, organ, keyboardist in Duran Jones's band. But this is Magnolia. As they sort of say, piano-led spiritual jazz from dusk till dawn. Yeah, I mean, that's the best way to put it. This is one of the most beautiful jazz records I've listened to in a really long time. Trio, which is just upright bass, drums, and him and Steve Okonsky on piano. So in the sort of vein of like a Bill Evans in terms of atmosphere, but so much more laid back. There's not a lot of, not to say that there's not virtuosity involved, but it's just a very different sort of more spiritual and soulful type of experience. But I absolutely love this. That is Magnolia from Okonsky off of the Coal Mine Records label. Let's see, number are we at 12 here? 12. This was a kind of a fun one for those progressive rock nerds out there. This will be a name that means something to you, although this is one of his many sort of additional projects. But I'm going to go with the follow-up release called Sophomore from DiVirgilio, Morris, and Jennings. So this is Nick DiVirgilio, Neil Morris, and Ross Jennings, sort of a super group that have coming from a lot of different areas that came together for their second sort of singer-songwriter record. Their first record came out 2 years ago, maybe, called Troika. And then this came out. This was a cool pre-order with a signed picture up there. But it's interesting just coming from a bunch of progressive rock, icons, whatever. Neil Morse coming from Spock's Beard, Transatlantic, his own solo stuff. Nick G. Virgilio also with Spock's Beard, Big Train. He's also done stuff, I think, with Mr. Big now. And then Ross Jennings, who's most known for being a lead vocalist in Haken, which may or may not be making an appearance here in a little bit. You would never expect that they would come together as a sort of three-part harmony, singer-songwriter type stuff and think that it works, but it really does work. So yeah, number 12, D. Virgilio, Morris, and Jennings with their sophomore album, Sophomore. Just talked about Coal Mine Records. This is a Coal Mine Connection based on a 7-inch that was put out years ago by Coal Mine Records. But this was the long-awaited, I would say, second record from this sort of soul psychedelic group from Austin, Texas. And we're going to go with Chronicles of a Diamond from the Black Pumas. So those who know the Black Pumas, I mean, their debut blew up. I think it won a bunch of Grammys. It received about 1 million anniversary reissues, and it was just around forever. And so, of course, as everybody says, you have your entire life to write your first record, and then you got about 3 weeks to write your second. I think this was coming in with a lot of high pressure, and I think it met that pressure. Is it as good as the first one? I don't know. I don't want to go down that path. I would need some more time with both of them. But I think definitely they come together so well. The two, Adrian Quesada and Eric Burton, come together really well. I think it's a more dynamic album. I think it meets at least the expectations of what people were hoping for, and just a really solid follow-up to their debut. So this is the Black Pumas, Chronicles of a Diamond. Next, we are now in the top 10. So this has been something that's been shown by, I think, a lot of people, and I'm right up in there. To me, and this might be the first of a number of these types of releases, there's this power pop sort of resurgence that's going on, along with the soul resurgence too. But to me, the power pop resurgence is amazing. And I'm showing what you could argue are 3 power pop records in this top 10, but each of them is a little bit different, a little more niche than the other. First one I'm going to go with, I think when I think power pop and I think of this band, I think they sound like Cheap Trick, but they're not a ripoff by any means. I know a lot of people are talking about it, but I love it as well. This is the Midnight Callers, The Rattled Humming Heart. First of all, Midnight Caller is one of my favorite Badfinger tracks, one of my favorite songs of all time, and I just love that they got the name from that. And yeah, this is great. I mean, this is Big Star. This is Todd Rundgren. This is Cheap Trick. This is all that kind of stuff. Band out of New York. And just, I mean, a fabulous band. These guys are awesome, and looking forward to what comes out next. But this is Rattled Humming Heart from the Midnight Callers. Moving right along in power pop world, but from a different side. Well, that was a little bit more emphasis on the power and sort of the Cheap Trick type attitude, a little, not garagey, but just a little bit more attitude driven. These guys are the power pop on the other side that's a little more sugary, sweet, cheesy, twee, whatever you want to call it. But I absolutely love them and got a chance to see them this year in concert. And I'm going with Everything Harmony from the Lemon Twigs. Two brothers out of Long Island. This is, I think, their fourth now record. I think they're still in their mid-20s, so they are really young. It's very theatrical. It's very Broadway. It's, again, a little bit cheesy, but if you're into that sort of thing, I love it. I get big time Eric Carmen, Raspberries type wingsy type stuff out of this. Not nearly as sort of powery and garagey and attitude as Midnight Callers, but this is something where just incredible vocals, incredible songwriting, and something that really takes you back to the sort of early to mid 70s in their songwriting. And so, yeah, I'm all in on the Lemon Twigs. This is Everything Harmony. Number 8, I'm gonna go with a current band. This is their second full-length release. Got a chance to see them just a couple weeks ago live, and they blew my mind. I've talked about them on my channel before. And I'm talking about the sophomore second album from hard rock, blues rock band Dirty Honey. This is Can't Find the Breaks. Absolutely love this record. Again, was really looking forward to what their second one was going to be, because their first record, their self-titled, blew me away. Again, I've talked about them a lot, but if you like 70s stanky, hard rock, gritty, bluesy, just rock and roll, these are a modern day sort of heroes. They're paying so much tribute to that, but not in a copy way. They, you know what I mean? Like, they're original, they're outstanding. I think their 1-2 punch between their singer and their guitarist is just outstanding. Was lucky enough to meet them in an in-store, and they signed this. But yeah, this is Dirty Honey. This is Can't Find the Breaks, and it's number 8. We'll tiptoe into prog world here. When this came out, I think it was met with a lot of mixed feelings, and I know I've talked to a lot of people who also have mixed feelings about it. I myself had, and still sometimes do have, mixed feelings about it, but I do find myself going back to it more and more, which leads me to believe I like it more than maybe I'm willing to admit. But even that, it's coming in at number 7 for this year, and that is the latest, the Harmony Codex from Steven Wilson. Yeah, it's not Hand Cannot Erase, it's not The Raven, it's not even his first 2, it's not Porcupine Tree, but I don't care. I've said to a lot of people, Steven Wilson is now, his music is closer to things like Radiohead than it is Porcupine Tree. He's really dabbling into the electronic side of things. He's really diving into sound, experimental sort of expressions in the studio. And I find myself liking this more and more. There's variety there. There's some stuff that is just, just kind of puts you in that mood. This, to me, it's a headphones record. The production on it is just second to none. Absolutely amazing. But yeah, progressive rock, kind of. It's a little bit more artsy. It's a little bit more electronic. But I find myself liking this a lot more than I thought I would. So it's coming in at number 7 for 2023. The Harmony Codex from Steven Wilson. Number 6. Here's a band that's they've been around for, I guess, 15 or 20 years now. I can't remember. This might be their, 6th or 7th release. But I think another one of these sort of bands that is carrying the torch of that old school, early 70s British hard bluesy rock. If you like Free, if you like Bad Company, if you like Humble Pie, that type of stuff, and you want it kind of modernized, a little bit more attitude, and turned up to 11, I cannot recommend this band enough. And they actually released 2 albums this year. This is the one I like the most out of those 2, and I'm talking about Dark Fighter from Rival Sons. Yeah, I mean, just like I said, I mean, they are hard rock, blues rock, soulful voice from, I think his name is Jay Buchanan on vocals. just amazing. I mean, the 1-2 punch here again with this band, I think is very similar to what you would find in the 1-2 punches of vocalists and the guitarists of the day. Outstanding. So yeah, if you love that early mid-70s sort of British hard rock, I think you'll love Rival Sons. This is Dark Fighter, and I think was just outstanding. They did release another record this year, which is very good as well. This one just spoke to me a little bit more, and so I'm going with this one. But that is what comes in at number 6. This next one was a complete miracle find, as I say. I walked into one of my local record stores here. Shout out to Used Kids Records in Columbus, Ohio. And I walked in there on a Saturday, and they had music playing on the record player throughout the store. And I heard about the first 5 notes. And I swear I was hearing, like, to me, it felt like a more modern version of Mott the Hooples All the Way to Memphis. Like, I was like, what is this? This is outstanding. And they said, oh, it's the latest album from a band from Sweden called The Velvet Insane. This is High Heeled Monster from The Velvet Insane, a complete modern day glam rock band that is, I mean, you could almost copy and paste them back to 1972. But again, still original. It's not, it's not like they're just sort of, copycatting, but it's just one of those artists that you hear and you go, what year am I in? This is outstanding. I bought their other 2 previous releases, but I think this one's the best. And nobody knows about these guys. I mean, they really don't. Shout out to Steve over at All the World's a Stage. I know he loves these guys. But, these guys, I don't think they're ever going to tour here in the States. I think they have like 2,000 followers on Instagram. I don't even know what their following is, but they're Swedish, they're glam, and they're incredible. So this is High Heeled Monster from The Velvet Insane, came out this year. If you like glam, if you like that early, again, Mott the Hoople, Slade, Sweet, a little bit of Bowie in there, you'll absolutely love this. The Velvet Insane, High Heeled Monster. This is my number 5 of the year. Number 4, something completely different. I had never even heard of this band until I heard of this album. It's completely out of my sort of typical comfort zone in terms of the type of music I listen to. But as soon as I heard it, I just got in this space and it just sort of took me over. I mean, you want to talk about music that just sort of like impacts you in a way that you were not anticipating it. And then it turns out that they're like one of the biggest sort of shoegaze, dream poppy sort of bands of all time. And yeah, I'm going with Everything Is Alive from Slowdive. I think technically this is maybe their 5th full length. I know they broke up for a while and then came back in 2017, I think, and had a self-titled record. But this is the one that came out this year. I love this. I mean, this is not, if you're accustomed to listening to like Led Zeppelin and Humble Pie and all that, like this is not that by any means. I mean, this is atmospheric. This is dreamy. This is gazy. Incredible songwriting, emotional, really, I think, serene instrumental passages. It just, male, female vocals. It's got the whole thing. I love this, and I've become a huge Slowdive fan because of this album. And yeah, it ends up at number 4 for me. I absolutely love it. And yeah, I've become a huge fan of them just because of hearing from this. So yeah, Slowdive, Everything Is Alive at number 4. Number 3, I admittedly forgot about this one because it was released so early in the year. And so I kind of just assumed it was released last year, but it wasn't. These guys, for the prog metal fans out there that are watching, these guys are sort of carrying that progressive metal torch today. I mean, you could argue that they're the best progressive metal band in the world right now. This album, I think, was an adjustment for some people, but I found myself liking it actually more and more than their previous couple of releases, and those were solid as well. I'm talking about Fauna from Haken, British progressive rock, progressive metal band. First of all, just incredible illustration artwork here on this. But yeah, I mean, they're tiptoeing into a lot of different styles and genres. They still have that very aggressive sort of instrumentally aggressive, not vocally aggressive, but instrumentally aggressive, pointed styles here. But they're tiptoeing into a lot of almost pop and more accessibility, a lot of different creative aspects going on. I think significantly more creative than their last couple of offerings. And I do love those records as well. But yeah, this is Fauna from Haken coming in at number 3. I think for a lot of progressive rock and progressive metal people out there, this is going ranked pretty high. But yeah, this was a crazy record. I think it also brought back their original keyboardist too. And yeah, just an out there record. If you're interested, give Elephants Never Forget a stream. That's kind of the epic on the album, and it kind of, I think is a good representation of what they're all about. Number 3. Well, number 2, no surprise here. This is showing up on all the lists. I fucking love it. I fucking love this record. And it's showing up in number 2 for me, Hackney Diamonds, Rolling Stones. I am not a drinker of Kool-Aid. I am not the person as everybody else loves it, so I better love it. Not at all. For me, though, this is outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. I would not change much, if anything, about this record, except maybe the album cover and the artwork. But I think as far as music goes, I'm all in. Hackney Diamonds, Rolling Stones. Everybody else has talked all about it, so I won't spend too much time on it. But this is my number 2 record. I absolutely love it. I think it's just a fantastic record, and it could not be a more surreal feeling knowing that in 2023, my second favorite record that I listened to this year is the friggin' Rolling Stones. Unbelievable. Hackney Diamonds, I love it. Great record. And so, number 1, for those who know me, this will not be a surprise, but this record I have just a very interesting, I think, relationship with, based on seeing this artist in concert and seeing him perform damn near the entire record and all the songs from it before I even heard any of the songs and before the album was actually released. But for me, I just love this record so much, and it was a no-brainer. This is my number 1, no matter what. And I got 2 of them. Talking about I.O. from Peter Gabriel. Yeah, the dark side mixes, the bright side mixes. If people are wondering, just buy one of them. Don't get both. The mixes are pretty negligible. I got both because I'm a psycho. But besides that, this is just such an outstanding record. I find myself loving all of these songs. Even the ones I was unsure about at first, I find myself really being sure of now how much I love them. And the ones I loved at first, I love more now than I did then. Absolutely spectacular. I'm all in on Peter Gabriel. This is just a beautiful, serene, tranquil, atmospheric record. The production is just outstanding as well. The songwriting is incredible. His band is outstanding, but also he leans into technology and art and the visual and expression a lot more than so many else. So yeah, I.O., Peter Gabriel, that's my top record of the year, people. So yeah, would love to hear what you all think. Of course, everybody's posting these types of videos. Let me know what your top records are. Let me know if you have any of these or what your thoughts are on these. And yeah, I'm sure more sort of end of the year videos will be coming. But for this was my top 15 albums of the year 2023. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll chat soon. Cheers, y'all. Bye.